So what happens when a part that's under by the rudder pedals needs to be replaced? You take your seats out. I'll show you how to put your seats back in. So in the Piper Lance, your seat's got these two tracks, and the seats hook onto these rails, and so to get them out you got to get them off the rails. So you'll see here there's a spot on each rail that sets of wheels hook on, another spot up here at the front, sorry for the lack of light, as well. And then to keep them from coming off during flight, there are plates that are screwed in there to then keep the seat on. So we'll have to bring the seats back into the plane, hook them back into the rails, and then screw the plates back on, and then we'll be good to go. And of course my plane's got 6 seats, and so I've got the front seats, which I just showed you, and I got the middle seats, and I got the rear seats, and each of these come out differently. So on the middle seats you've got these 2 bolts up front that connect it here to what I believe they call this, well, it's right behind the spar box. Okay, and they're really long bolts, and you bring them out, and then they're connected with a plate like that, so the feet are then connected in to there. So the back part of the seat is pushed in so it can't come out, but then once you get the bolts out, then it can slide forward to come out of that tabs. And see if I can get some light in there. The rear seats are similar. The front legs, well, similar as in those kind of tabs. There's no screws for this one, but you see that tab behind that leg there? You push that tab down, and then you push the seat backwards, and there's a tab on each one of these. I don't know if I can get around there. You can see the tab back there, but there's a tab on each one of these. You push them down simultaneously, which is sometimes tricky, but you can do it, and then you push back, and then the seat will pop out. Now normally during an annual we would take the rear seats out first, and then take the front seats out and bring them through the rear passenger door. In this case I only needed the 2 front seats out and didn't want to take the time to remove the middle seats. So it's pretty unsafe, at least with one person, trying to hop up on the wing and bring a seat through the front door. So it's easy enough to lay the middle seats down, then pop one of these front seats on, and then I'll just flop it over into place. So in my case there's a specific order for putting the fronts in before you put the rears on. So right now I've got it all the way forward, and you can see the wheel down there is in that groove. I'm going to slide it back. I don't think I can do this one-handed. I'm going to slide it back, and then I'll have to bring the chair all the way back to the end of the track and get the rear ones in. Okay, so at this point now I've got the front ones on and we've scooted back. You may have to hold up your bar from the front to be able to bring it back, and then we're going to engage the rear wheels. Can't really see that, but they're down there. Then we're going to bring those in and then move it forward and then put those plates back on. Okay, so the rear ones are now in. If you want to be able to know whether they're in or not, pull up on the seat, and if they weren't in, it'd come right out. And so first we're going to put the front plates on, then we'll move the seat up, and then we'll put the rear plates on. So it's pretty self-explanatory which plates go where. These front ones are smaller, so they'll go on. They're held with 2 screws. And the ones that are bigger will go in the rear. They've got 3 screws, and the screws are pretty general screws that hold them in. Front one went in really easy. Move the seat back up the tracks, and we'll put this one in. And just like that, the plates are in, and we can slide the seat back in place. And just like that, you got a seat installed. Takes about, I don't know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes a seat, and something easily can be done. And now I've got the pilot side seat installed and finishing up that last bracket, and then we'll be done. Now, how do you know that this is the pilot side seat versus the co-pilot seat? Aren't they the same? Well, at least in my plane, if you see this handle, that's the seat reclining handle for the seat back, and you want that on the inside of the cockpit. Otherwise the handle would be buried here on the outside and you won't be able to get to it. So pilot side has a handle on his right or her right, and co-pilot has the handle on their left. And there you have it. We've got seats in the front and seats in the middle, and I'm sitting on the seats in the back. So that's how you can, at least for a Piper Lance, take your seats in and out. Takes only a few minutes if you know the quick procedure to take them out and put them back on. And then don't forget to keep your hardware in some kind of container. I got a plastic bag, and then I put it in the seat pocket of one of the seats, so that way I didn't lose any of my hardware. So thanks for listening in, and just remember, any work that I do on my plane is either legal under the FAA owner allowed maintenance or under supervision of a certified airplane and power plant mechanic. Have a good one. Before I go, you might be asking, well, what exactly was it that you guys replaced? Well, see this old voltage regulator and over voltage control unit. The alternator on the last flight was kind of kicking off and on. What you typically do is then cycle the switch to see if it comes back. According to the JPI data that I pulled, it did come back a little bit and then kind of off, and then by the time we got back on the ground, it wasn't me flying, it was a friend of mine flying. By the time he got back on the ground, it actually came back on. So then you've got an intermittent problem. Mechanic tested the alternator, it tested just fine. So then the next suspect becomes the voltage regulator. There's no manufacturing date on this that I can find. Maybe it's in there somewhere. But I wouldn't be surprised if this thing were 40 years old. Again, not sure about this thing either. Can't see that stamp in there, but anyway, they've got newer modern ones that actually combine this unit into one. So we bought one of those and put it in. So the next step will be to ground run the aircraft and see if I have alternator power. And if not, then the next thing you'd go to would be the switch. So hopefully this is it, and we'll be back in the air. So thanks again for watching.